The Congressional Budget Office has concluded that the American Health Care Act would leave 23 million more people uninsured by 2026. Oh God, what are we gonna do? Do we need to organize another march? I can make a pre-existing conditions hat. All right, pull yourself together. It looks like we're on the onset of today's Governmental Breakdown. Howdy gang, I'm Chandler Dean, and whenever there's a governmental breakdown, I ask myself 3 questions. What happened? Does it actually matter? And what's going to happen next? Today's terrifying headline for analysis, 23 million fewer Americans insured under House GOP bill, says CBO. First, what happened? 3 weeks ago, the House of Representatives passed the American Health Care Act, or AHCA, or AHCA, or AHCA awkward because shit is not popular among millennial a cappella groups. Today, the CBO finally completed their report on the bill, which concluded that the number of uninsured would increase by 23 million people, while the deficit would decrease by $119 billion over the next 10 years. But wait, sub-question, didn't this already happen? Yes, actually. A few months ago, the CBO released its report on the original draft of the American Health Care Act, which was dead on arrival in the House.
24 million more would be uninsured by 2026. It would also include a $337 billion in budget savings under the deficit.
So, we went from a bill which leaves 24 million more Americans uninsured and cuts $337 billion from the deficit, which was totally unacceptable, political suicide, never gonna happen, to a bill which leaves 23 million more Americans uninsured and only cuts $119 billion from the deficit. That's the magic of political compromise. Now, does this actually matter? It may sound scary, but by all accounts, this report is analyzing a bill that will not become law. 3 weeks ago, when the bill initially passed in the House, Senate Republicans were already indicating that they were going to start from scratch when they made their version of the bill in the Senate. This report doesn't change that. So, what's going to happen next? Well, the Senate will pass its own version of the bill, complete with its own CBO score and media frenzy, and then if it passes, which is a big if because there are 52 Republicans in the Senate, and 50 of them need to come to agreement on a whole lot of issues for this bill to pass. But if it does, you can bet that Senate Republicans, and President Trump for some reason, even though he has nothing to do with this, will go around the media circuit taking credit for this as a huge legislative victory. And then it'll go back to the House, where it'll be dead on arrival again, and we start the whole process over. The ultimate result? No bill will likely make it to President Trump's desk, but lawmakers in both houses will be able to go back to their constituents and say, I tried to repeal Obamacare, but the other house wouldn't let me. Sort of like when you're a twin and you just blame everything on the other twin who isn't there at the moment. Yes, I'm saying that Congress is basically the worst episode ever of Sister Sister. It's Washington Disney Channel. Finally, how much should we be panicking? On a scale from 1 to 23 million, let's call it about 10 million. The AHCA awkward would have enormous consequences if it did pass, but for now, it's still pretty far from the president's desk, in terms of time. Physically, the mall's not that big.